What part do memories play in who we are and how we define ourselves? How can a collective memory of a society inform the culture of those people? These are the questions that fascinate me and inform the work that I do. I mean, even our muscles have memory. You never forget how to ride a bike. The memory within our DNA can draw us to places that we've never been, make us like certain things just based on what our genes are and who our ancestors were. I feel like my identity as an identical twin, it makes me a perfect case study for this type of DNA memory and eyewitness discrepancy. My sister and I literally experience the same events, but often we remember them completely differently. I feel like I know the way certain things happened and even that they did happen, but when I ask her about them, her stories often are vastly different than mine. Maybe we filter our experiences through our senses, and then other experiences get layered over those and create kind of alternate realities. I don't really think time is linear. I think it has to be cyclical, the way that the past just keeps coming around into the present. So right now I am measuring the dimensions of my frame pieces so that I am positive that I'm putting the right pieces together, because I want 8 by 10s and 9 by 12s, and I've previously cut the lengths on the chop saw, on the miter saw, and I want to make sure that I'm going to put 2 of each, 2 8-inch with 2 10-inch and 2 9-inch with 2 12-inch and so on. So now I am arranging the corner clamps so that I can put the frame pieces squarely together. I really love this part of the process, putting on the encaustic medium, the beeswax and damar resin. Just makes the whole painting start to come alive, and I can see all the translucency and the transparent layers start to build. It's really exciting to work this big too, because it's just like more of a whole physical experience. And the symbols that I use, I've been using pretty much my whole life, from the textiles and the dolls and motifs of that culture. I didn't always know why I did that, but after having visited Estonia, it was like coming home. It was very eye-opening and everything made sense. And so the reason why I was using all these different symbols, even though at first they seemed foreign to me as a child and growing up, it was as if the memory within my DNA knew that's who I was, and that's why I needed to use these symbols. I use a lot of different techniques when it comes to making my multimedia prints. And one of the ways I like to start is with monotype. And monotype is a method of printmaking, meaning it's an indirect method. And I create an image using ink and different materials like water-soluble oil pastels, and I put those onto a plexiglass or acrylic plate, and I can use stencils, I can use brayers, which are those little rollers. I can add, I can subtract, I can roll the ink on, I can wipe it off, I can draw, and then when it comes time to transfer the image to paper, what I do is I usually dampen the paper because that helps absorb the ink and especially the water-soluble pastels better. And I lay the dampened sheet of paper over the plate, and then I roll it through a press. And the press is nice because it really helps give a very close contact from the paper to the plate, and helping that ink and drawing materials get absorbed into and onto the paper. So that's really helpful. You could hand burnish them, but since I have a press in my studio, I use the large etching press. And once I have printed and transferred the image from the plate onto the paper, then I let it dry, and then it's time to either create another drop, another monotype print with more painting and more rolling, or I can add other types of printmaking, such as screen printing or lithography. So when I'm creating a lithograph, I either draw on a aluminum plate like I'm doing here, or a limestone, and I use a greasy pencil or grease material that's been dissolved and kind of soluble in water, and I either paint or I draw the image directly onto the plate, and then I process it using different types of solutions with gum arabic and acid, such as nitric acid or tannic acid, and that enables the plate or the stone to hold that image so I can roll ink, greasy ink, oil-based ink onto it, and then repeat the process, and I can print multiple copies of that image. I can do this in different colors if I chose to do any color I wanted. I could roll the image up in a color, say the reddish sort of burgundy color that some of these prints I have done in. And then I can just keep repeating the process and printing over and over again. And the nice thing is I can layer these on top of other lithographs. I can layer them on top of the monotype, and I can give that image sort of a new environment and a new look. I also really like to use screen printing, especially for a final kind of layer, because screen printing allows me to create both hand-drawn and hand-designed images, but also photographic images. I can contrast that type of imagery with the painterly aspects of the monotype and the more hand-drawn aspects of the lithography. And here I'm creating a reduction screen print. So there's 5 layers that need to be lined up each time, and that's going to create this image of the scale. And I can register them with this plastic film that I put I print on first, and then when I drop the screen down, I know where it's going to land, so I can just be really precise about where I place it onto my print. And it's nice because there's no borders, there's no embossing or anything around the image like some other types of printmaking. So it can really go anywhere. I can run it off the page if I wanted to. And it's, again, the graphic quality really contrasts nicely with some of the other images that I do. I also like to print on not just the paper itself, but sheer, transparent papers, transparent fabrics, and that way I can layer over the previous print and kind of push that previous layer back in space and get different qualities. And then once all that printing is done, then it's time to kind of layer them up. So I'll take the transparent prints and decide where I want to overlay them and kind of obscure parts of the print and reveal other parts. If parts of the image need more boldness or more subtlety, I can decide that while I'm doing this sort of collage. And I use a variety of materials and glues to adhere the materials onto. What you don't see is some of these sheer papers I spray mount using a spray adhesive, and that allows me to really keep the integrity of the paper and place it wherever I want on the print. So it keeps it nice and flat. It doesn't warp it like a water-based or wet glue might. And I can place it, wherever I need to, and the sheerness of the paper stays the same. So it looks pretty much like I can arrange it and it will stay the way that it looks when I put it on there. I can cut out these prints, I can arrange them, I can trim them and fragment them, and it's a pretty long process just to try to kind of get it all oriented and looking right, and it's a back and forth, what does this print need, what does another print need? Am I adding too much? Do I need to take away? Do I need to obscure some parts? Do I need to bring some elements out? Again, it's a lot of decision making. It's a lot of sort of push and pull with how I do that. So it takes time, and I try to allocate, enough time so I'm not rushing through this, and I can really get a good sense of how things are working so they can ultimately be successful prints. And then lastly, I will take some drawing materials, whether that's pencil or again, the water-soluble oil pastels or even just regular oil pastels. And if parts need to be accentuated or softened, I can do that right on the print. So these really are mixed media in the sense that, yes, they're prints and there are multiple types of printing, lithography, screen printing, monotype, but they're also collaged and drawn on and sometimes painted on. So that mixture of the media is really what makes them unique and gives them their depth and alludes to the story that I'm telling, which is the traces of history that exist on me in the present and my ancestors, and ancestral history really coming full circle and influencing how I am living and
raising my family.